In this video, I picked out two maintenance items for Harley Davidson motorcycles that I feel are easily overlooked and are not given a very high priority. And they're things that you could probably get away with never doing, and it's not really going to affect the bike. But it is something that Harley Davidson does recommend that should be done every time the bike is serviced. The first maintenance item I picked is lubricate the Jiffy Stand. Some people call it a kickstand. All Harley Davidson motorcycles are going to have one, and on this Softail Custom it's located on the left side right here. It pivots right here. Harley Davidson recommends using an aerosol spray anti-seize lubricant, and if you have it in a spray form, you can probably just spray around the pivot area here and that'll be sufficient to lubricate the stand. But I've never been able to find an anti-seize in a spray type form, so what I'm going to be using is Permatex anti-seize lubricant. You can find this at any auto parts store, and since it's in grease form, I'm going to have to disassemble the Jiffy Stand in order to lubricate it. The first step in removing this Jiffy Stand is to remove this spring. It's easier to do, I think, when the Jiffy Stand is fully extended. I like to grab the end of the spring with a pair of channel lock pliers like this and then pull it out. The reason I like using the vice grips is because when I've used any other type of plier, when that spring breaks free, I can't hold on to it and it comes flying out, and you want to be careful of the chrome on the bike. Next thing you want to do is remove the shaft that the Jiffy Stand rotates on. It's held in by this clip here. It's kind of like a cotter pin. Just grab it with needle nose pliers and pull it out. Then you can pull the shaft out. Here's all the parts for the Jiffy Stand. This is the time when you wipe everything down, clean everything up. This is the shaft that the Jiffy Stand rotates on. Check your Jiffy Stand, look for any cracks or bends, make sure that's okay. You got two brass bushings here that fit on each end of this shaft here. You want to make sure clean those up. Then you can apply your anti-seize grease or whatever you're using. And I'm just going to put some on the shaft here. Doesn't take a lot. And I'm going to also apply some to the bushing here. And then you're ready to reassemble everything. I went ahead and reassembled the Jiffy Stand, inserted the shaft, the two bushings, and put the clip back on. Now I'm ready to reassemble the spring. Putting the spring back on is probably the hardest part of this whole process. Make sure when you do it you have a good set of channel lock pliers or something similar with good strong sharp teeth, because if you want it to grab onto that spring and not slip. If it does slip, that's when you can easily hit your hand on something and cut yourself or bruise your hand. So I'm going to grab my spring with the set of channel lock pliers, clamp down tight, and pull the spring into the hole like that, and you're done. The next maintenance item that I picked that I think is often overlooked on Harley Davidson motorcycles is lubricating the latches on the side bags. On this particular bike, the latches are right here, and to lubricate it, it just requires a simple 3-in-1 oil, which you can find at any hardware store or auto parts store. And it's something that you can do real quick, and it's cheap, and something that the customer, if it's never been done, the customer will notice it and appreciate it, because it makes these latches work much more quiet and much more smoothly. I removed this saddlebag just to make it easier to film, but if you're doing this at home, you don't have to remove the bag or disassemble anything to lubricate the latch on the saddlebag. To lubricate the latch, just take your 3-in-1 oil. The first pivot point, there's 3 pivot points on this latch. Just put a drop of oil at each joint here where there's an opening. And then have a rag around just to, clean up any excess. Next thing you want to do is open up the bag. Once you get it open, you got this piece here. Underneath this piece are the other 2 pivot points. You can just reach under here and lubricate them. But just to make it easier so I can videotape it, I'm going to remove this side of the strap. And move this out of the way. And then you can see, hopefully you can see this, there's these 2 other pivot points, and then just do the same thing as you did before, is put a drop at each joint. And then clean up any excess oil. Here's the saddlebag back on the bike, and the latches, everything's put back together, and the latch is just completely silent. Lubricating these latches, it's really an inexpensive thing to do. You can do it real quick, and it's something that if you're doing this for somebody else, they'll notice it right away. So yeah, it's something that should be done at every time the bike is serviced. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the videos, and ride hard, and thanks for watching.